The official Nigeria Bureau of Statistics said more than 2,200 cases of rape was reported in 2017. The Nigeria police recorded about 717 cases of rape between January and May 2020. It is liberating to say that the stigma attached to the discussion of rape has subsided. A lot of victims are beginning to speak up, and many activists have highlighted the issue through peaceful protest. My name is Tracy Dominic, and on today's episode of Deep Dive, Emeritus Prof Peter Ebigbo is joining us to talk about this difficult situation. Stay with us.
My name is Emeritus Professor Peter Ebigbo. I'm a Professor Emeritus of the University of Nigeria and a consultant clinical psychologist of the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, the 6th of Amorfo.
You're welcome again, sir, to the show.
You.
Sir, please tell us, what do you think is the reason for the constant rape cases of recent?
Well, rape has always existed, but we know that when there's a lot of frustration, it generates aggression. And wherever there's aggression, the cases of rape go higher. You will agree with me that we have a pandemic, this corona pandemic, that has necessitated a very stringent action of lockdown. And people have been, locked down, and a lot of economic disadvantages coming from it, and people not knowing how to engage themselves, a lot of frustration. And I believe that this has something to do with the increase in rape, because wherever there is a frustration, there's aggression. And wherever you have an atmosphere of aggression, you also have rape.
Okay, sir. So do you think the families of such rape victims have contributed to this number of cases? Because some families believe that they want to cover up these cases in order to protect their own. So do you think they've contributed somehow to the number of cases we have today?
I don't think that we need to focus on the family in looking for what is happening. I think that, yes, from the family, again, from the point of view of training, child upbringing, if you want to reach the family from that point of view, but from point of view of hiding what is happening, maybe, but I would like to emphasize that the whole issue of rape has to do with lack of control. People who have not learned self-discipline, people who have not been socialized to have frustration tolerance, people who are not capable of having delayed gratification, people who are impulsive and who cannot control themselves. When they get into an environment that is conducive, then you have rape.
Okay, I understand that. So most cases have been covered because of family. So are you saying these families, their reason have no justification and their reason does not contribute to the more rape cases? Because when these cases are not reported, perpetrators still strive and continue to commit these violent acts.
Well, you know that the people the victims of rape very often feel very much guilty. They are distressed, and their families, if they don't take their time, they will also have a kind of negative attitude towards them, and then you may find that the rape victims becomes double victim. So maybe that is why sometimes the families try to protect them by not making the case, because there is shame in it, there's a social stigma attached to it. And I would say that generally what the family is doing is what, but I agree with you that such incidences should be exposed, because if you don't expose it, normally, if you expose something in Nigeria, suddenly everybody sits up, particularly when it gets into the media. But if things are going on behind the scene, you can see somebody who has beaten a child and people don't say anything, but immediately the thing is reported, then everybody starts blaming and people sit up. So I agree with you.
Exactly. Talking about being reported, how come society still blame victims when these cases are reported instead of blaming the perpetrators?
Yeah, this is what we are saying, that it is an aberration, that when somebody suffers rape, if the person is the way the person, the society will start asking about where the person has gone, how the person is dressed, and with whom the person has associations. And what ordinarily normal life and society would not matter, that a girl dresses the way she feels that is comfortable to her, and another person finds that it is excessively attractive, that the person cannot control himself again, or a girl may decide to visit a fellow girlfriend and they stay a bit longer, and then in the staying a bit longer, something happens. You see, there are things that start coming up when you have a case of rape. Instead of immediately taking the girl or the boy, but mostly the girl, and listening, giving the girl a comfort, even finding medical attention, and giving emotional succor for the person to recover. Then you begin already to to tick out the how are you dressed, where did you go, and so on. And at the end of the day, somebody will have the feeling of having her private sphere having been coercively and aggressively broken into, and having had sexual intercourse against her will. That whole trauma is now mixed with blame from the family and from the environment, putting other things into consideration, which may be correct. But the end result is that the victim, suffers two times.
Okay.
And this should not be the case.
Exactly. If the victim is being stigmatized based on, okay, the answer of what she was wearing when the rape happened, how do we explain cases of when underage children, like babies under the age of 4 months or even 12 months, are being molested? How do we even begin to explain that?
Yeah, that is why I said, rape is, there's a broad spectrum of rape, from pure aggression, aggressive, overpowering of the victim and having sexual intercourse, to a person who is known to you, almost a friend but not quite a friend, and then having sexual intercourse without the person's consent, or even somebody's wife. The wife comes back at the end of the day very tired, and she really doesn't want, but the husband has been at home the whole day and wants. And then the next thing, the husband uses force. It's also rape. So there's a broad spectrum. And I'm saying that the whole thing should go back to the family, because it is the person who has not been properly socialized to control him or herself. I mean, it is natural that a man sees a woman, he gets attracted. A woman sees a man, he gets attracted. But we are socialized to obey the norms of the society. That there are certain extent to which you can interact, that your instinct have to be, reined in. and that things are done at certain times in a proper manner. That is what is called socialization. When that socialization fails, and you have somebody who is completely self-centered, so impulsive, not no discipline. If he finds opportunity, he's going to go and rape somebody. So this is what I'm saying, that we have to get into the family level and to the personality as somebody is brought up, to be able to explain why one person will rape in the situation of what we may call indecent dressing, and another person may not. Because again, I can say, please allow me to dress how I desire. If you look at me in any way, it's your own problem. You have to learn, to have discipline. Even though we say, please, let the traditional healer not leave its basket where the rat will go and eat meat there. But then let the rat not go and eat the meat. So I'm not saying that indecent dress is good. Somebody may be at the borderline, and a particular way of dressing may now trigger off some reaction. But you have also to know that there are some people who, by nature, are very aggressive, super males. And as I said, there's something that links aggression with sexuality. We know that people who are very powerful, when you are in power, that power, that exercise, that having power, has also something to do with sexuality. So that people who are given power, presidents, prime ministers, if they are not properly socialized, they are going to use their power also to rape, and
So what goes on in the mind of victims? Like, can they actually get healing from this terrible experience? What are the future repercussions of rape in the victim's perspective?
First of all, when somebody is overpowered, there's great fright. Because all of us have our sphere. You have your sphere. And nobody is supposed to cross that sphere. But when somebody rudely, aggressively, and coercively intrudes into your sphere, and not only intruding into your sphere, but overpowers you and rapes you, the first thing is fear, followed by loss of self-esteem, and then trauma. Trauma. That type of trauma that comes back, what we call post-traumatic stress disorder, that it comes back and back again to visit you, and then you experience it with great fright. And again, the self-esteem, you feel completely powerless, you feel insufficient, and at the end of the day, it may lead to depression and even suicide. Depends on how such people are managed, and it depends on the personality. There are certain personalities that get over it faster than others, but there are certain personalities who will remain there and continue brooding on it until something bad happens.
So, psychologically, is there any connection between rape victims and sexual addiction later in life? Is there any connection?
Well, I can tell you a story. When I was, fighting against fighting for street children, we went to South America where it was very widespread, and there was a child who was neglected by the parents, and an elderly person down the street used to be very friendly and kind to her, and then used to give her food, he used to give her attention and succor. And one day, that man raped her, a girl of about 11, 12 years. And then the girl, completely bewildered, ran back and reported to the parents, look at what this man did. And the man, upon knowing that he had been reported, disappeared. So this particular girl, because the man was good to her, continued looking for that man. And that is what she told us was behind her promiscuity. She was going and sleeping with one man after another, around people on that age. So even though she raped her, but because he was very good to her, and because she now has lost her inside her mind psychologically, she now started looking for a symbolic way of returning the man to herself. So I don't say that rape. In fact, if rape at other extreme, rape may make somebody even to not to identify with being a woman. Rape has led to what we call anorexia nervosa. People who won't eat, so that they won't develop breast, or they won't come to be asked for by men. Rape can also make people to hate men of the people of the opposite sex, you know, and then the relationship with a man will become very difficult because that particular event has created a negative image in the person's mind, and then building up a relationship that may lead to marriage may become complicated. So the consequences that that may come from rape is legion, is enormous.
Okay, so can men be raped? Aside from women, can men be raped?
Well, the difference is that a man, if he's in a frightful situation, cannot produce an erection, you know. But a woman doesn't need to produce an erection for her to be raped. Of course, people can use power again. If a woman has a lot of power, she can use her power to bring a young man to a situation where he will now have sex with her. It's just like if you are a lecturer on the other side in the university, and then you force a girl to come and have sex with you, otherwise you fail her, and she knows that she has to pass, and then she goes and does it. It's rape. It is rape because it is still against her will, even though she went. Because so it is this kind of situation that you can have in a man for it to be rape.
Okay. Do you think severe punishment of rape can change the narrative in our society?
I think so, because one of the causes of rape is that when you don't have laws that stipulate stringent punishment, if somebody feels he can do something and get away with it, then he will go and do it. But if you know that you do something, in learning, immediately you are given a quick feedback. You do something, you get immediately penalized, you get the feedback of your behavior. That will undermine that kind of behavior. So I think that but the most important thing, the laws have to be there, but girls or people generally have to be taught to do the proper thing. If you as a girl are walking without looking that you are not self-confident, you are already making yourself a victim. But a girl who walks bold and confident, doesn't, is already a deterrent on its own. And then if you are going on a lonely path, if you can avoid it, why do you go on a lonely path when you know that that is a kind of attraction for rape? Or going to study if you are a student in a dark side. I mean, it may be conducive for learning, but one has to really actually examine situations. Or locking your door if you are alone in the house, or you are in the car. You leave your car, you have to lock it. Or don't park your car in the evening in a dark spot where somebody can overpower you. These are things that we can already tell ourselves to make, or also there's a place you'll be going, like a girl was invited by a man whom she didn't know very well, invited her again, she cooked, she went and cooked for him, went to market, cooked for him, and then just in an enticing manner, they ate and watched video, and then the man overpowered her. And then she said that she was raped. She was raped actually, but that situation could have been avoided if she would have seen the signs, and you have to see the signs and take step immediately, one step ahead. But I say the final thing is the way we train our children.
The possible solution to prevent and eradicate rape cannot be overemphasized. So if you have been affected by sexual abuse or know someone who has, please do not fail to seek help. Rape is a serious crime. Seek help because you are not alone. That's all for today's show on Deep Dive. Until I come your way next time, my name is Tracy Dominic. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at MyColorTV and on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at MyColorTV. Thank you for watching.
MyColorTV, life in living color.